What's going on, everyone? So in the previous episode, you see Victor and Henry team up to go on a retcon mission in order to retrieve Jasper, right? Jasper is the key, or at least Victor believes, is a big key, a big point to getting information and telling a story, is what Victor said, to help them get out of FROMVILLE. That Jasper may end up having some information. And you see that they go back to, Victor's little hideout, and Henry says, like, Victor, like, that's just a toy. And, Victor kind of seems a little crazy. And you also got to keep in mind, like, Henry, yes, it's his son, but he doesn't really know him. They haven't had that relationship and that buildup in 30 plus years, right? Like, so they have no idea. Like, he's looking at it as like, I understand this place is weird. I understand that there's monsters and craziness, but that's a doll. You really think this doll is just going to talk to us and tell us what we need to know? But Victor seems so sure, seems so confident in it. Henry's kind of just seems to be playing along. And also, quick little side note, I really did appreciate that moment that they had in Victor's room where Henry is trying to connect to Victor. And, it goes into Victor, and I constantly am talking about how Victor's a lot smarter and a lot more aware than people give him credit for. I see a lot of comments, when I dive into theories or ideas about Victor, and people are like, there's no way Victor came up with that. There's no way Victor, like, had that idea or anything. And it's like, are we watching the same thing? Like, Victor is very knowledgeable, has an excellent memory. I mean, look at that scene where they're in the tunnels. I mean, they get to the room where everything was, and he literally remembered every little detail. The clock was here. The clock. He didn't say, there was a clock over there. No, he was like, the clock was right there. There was a tea set up here. And he's like in very detail. His artistry, like all of it. He's very almost like photographic memory. Like, he's a lot smarter than I believe a lot of people give him credit for, which is why I am so high on him kind of being one of the biggest, if not the biggest key. And why, since this show began, I'm like, why isn't somebody like trying to beat information out of Victor, right? Like, this guy has some knowledge. He's been there the longest, but I'm diverting from the track here a little bit. But Henry, he's trying to connect, and then Victor basically says, I have this job I have to do, right? Like, and then kind of realizes and understands the situation, which, again, highlights Victor's understanding of the situation of, like, this is my father. He's trying to connect to me. I'm kind of focused on this mission right now, but let me take a minute to just relay to him. And he says, what I have to do is very dangerous. I don't want you to get hurt, right? But you can walk with me. And then ultimately Henry's like, hey, no, I'm going with you. You're my son. I don't want to see you die, which I loved. But the big question now that presents itself is, what story would be so significant that Victor believes that it is key to kind of unlocking information necessary? He says that Jasper once told a story and I need him to tell it again, right? He relayed a story to Christopher, right, that according to Victor, he believes is very important, is a story that could potentially have some answers to it. So that's the question, is like, what is that story? Victor's not looking to interrogate the doll in the sense of like trying to get some answers about like, hey, where's the door to get out or anything like that. No, he believes that there was details in a story that was relayed, 30 years ago or whatever from Jasper that now he needs to get an understanding on, that he needs the Jasper to tell the story again. And I don't think it's going to be or at least I hope not, as simple as, hey, Jasper, tell me the story. And Jasper just goes, oh, okay, well, here, hopefully there is kind of a little bit more to that. I would kind of like the idea of like Henry and everyone kind of thinking like he's losing it. Like, there's kooky Victor, thinking the doll's going to talk to him right? Maybe they go back to Colony House or something, and he's like sitting there just interrogating this doll, like, where is she? Right? Like, and it's just, I like the idea of like build up to it, right? But I also want like a fine line. Like, I don't want to spend 10 episodes trying to figure out what's going on with Jasper, but I would like a little resistance. I don't want it to be as simple as like Jasper's just like, okay, like, maybe it's something when everyone leaves the room and Victor's like alone with Jasper. Jasper relays it to Victor, and Victor tells us, oh, Jasper talked to me, and everyone just kind of thinks Victor's losing it. Like, sure, the doll told you this, right? Or maybe Victor goes, tell them type thing, and everyone's just kind of like, all right, Victor, like, go back to your room and color with your crayons, right? Which, again, like, like, the people of FROMVILLE don't really seem to look at or value Victor, right? Victor's constantly having to do stuff and go at things alone, or he has to enlist those people for help, right? Like, he goes to Sarah and tells Sarah, right? And, he finds comfort in Sarah because, like he says, like, you're the biggest monster here, right? Like, and so, like, if you're not going to be scared. And so you see Victor, I mean, he was willing to go into the tunnels alone. And it's something I've talked about, like, Victor really appears to be off limits. Now, I don't want to get too much into that because I did a whole video, like, detailing and going over all these key points. But, like, Victor, he has, like, no fear over anything at times. And, like, even when he goes into the tunnels to retrieve Jasper, like, the monsters essentially have him, if not him, at least Henry, because Henry's clueless, right? Has them essentially dead to rights, and just is like, Victor, if you come down here too many times, and like throws the joke out of like, come down here too many times, we might have to keep you here, right? Like, or we might have to make you stay or whatever, right? Like, and so Victor, again, he doesn't want people to get hurt, so he's constantly, he does have that child mentality, but he's grown up in this place. He has a real understanding and a real kind of knowledge in a lot of ways of things, right? Like, he understands like he's monitoring the trees and seeing how far they moved and stuff. And people are kind of looking at him like he's a Looney Tune. And it's like, well, there's obviously significant, like, everything Victor does is intentional. There's usually a point. There's usually significance to it, right? Like, he is the one that knew about the trees and all that stuff, right? Like, there's so much that goes into it. He has a relationship, literally relationship with the boy in white, right? Like, Sarah's all like, wait, the boy in white? He's like, yeah, it's my friend. And they just kind of leave it at that. I'd be like, can you call him? Can you get him over here? Can we talk to him? Right? Like, does the boy in white have any answers? Like, why can't you just, go and speak to the boy in white and ask us how to get out of here, right? Like, it feels like, no, everyone just, like, kind of brushes things that Victor says and does off as like, he's a real character. It's just like, it's so frustrating sometimes because it's just like, I can't be the only one. If I'm not, please let me know down in the comments that I'm not, crazy fate. Because, like, there's just moments where Victor will say something to people and people just, like, brush it off. And I'm just like, why? Like, why are you doing that? But get back on track with Jasper the doll. Again, obviously, Victor believes that there's significance there, which I don't think is unwarranted. I mean, he witnessed Jasper speaking to Christopher and having this dialogue and having this conversation. So I imagine that Victor's going to at some point in these next few episodes, maybe as soon as next episode, have a conversation with Jasper and be able to get out some information from him that is maybe key, and we'll actually get that story, which I'm excited for. And hopefully it's an interesting story. Hopefully it's good. It's not just like, before the monsters, there was nothing, right? Like, hopefully it's like, okay, well, how did this place come to be, right? Like, maybe it's like an origin story or something of what this place is. That would be nice to finally get, like, what is this place exactly? And how does Jasper have that knowledge? How is Jasper aware? What is Jasper? Was Jasper really Christopher's, or did Christopher find Jasper and just used it. Like, oh, hey, it's a ventriloquist dummy. Like, this is cool. And maybe it was somebody else's even before Christopher, right? There's a lot of questions that need answering, in my opinion, particularly with Jasper, that hopefully we're able to digest here in this next episode, or, before the season ends. Because we got 4 episodes left. You got 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're in the home stretch here. So hopefully we start getting some answers. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? What do you think? Just fun conversations. What do you think that the story is? What do you think the story will relate? Do you think it's like an origin story of this place? Do you think it's kind of like, maybe a task or a mission that Victor and Henry are going to continue to go on? Do you think that it's just nonsense? It's just a story was just to appease and manipulate Christopher? Because that could be a real possibility. The story might be really nothing. The story could just be smoke and mirrors, and was just another way to manipulate Christopher into doing what he needed to do. And is Christopher still alive? Like, that's the thing. Like, what happened to Christopher? That's what I want to know. Like, that's another big thing. Like, Christopher died? Is he alive? Did he turn into a monster? Like, what happened? Right? Like, there's just a lot of things that need to be answered, right? So, anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? However you feel, whatever they are, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.